know that on this podcast, we talk about bettering ourselves as small business owners and entrepreneurs. And today's guest loves to see people living in their highest potential. She helps leaders and achievers whose life looks perfect on the outside drop the fear, disconnection, and need for external validation so they can live a life of happiness and abundance. She can help you get to a place where you know how to trust yourself, make worrying and guilt a thing of the past, feel deep joy and satisfaction with your life. That is all things that all of us need. So please welcome Nicola to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Jillian. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited, and I love the title of your podcast, because I think that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this topic that you really focus on really helps small business owners, because there's a lot of self-doubt that comes with running your own business. So self-love, what do you think that has to do with money and making more of it? Because us as small business owners, that's one of the things that we're focused on.
Totally. And it has like everything to do with it, because I really think money is just another person. It's like another relationship. It's another partner. And as much as you learn, in life, to live life with all the people in your life, money is one of the partners. And so if you can actually use money and do your personal development on your relationship with money, not only will money flow, but everything else in life will flow so much easier. All your other relationship, your happiness with yourself. So money is just, it's just such a great tool, I think. And
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I really think that we can potentially lose ourselves in our business, because it can grow to be quite the monster if you're not managing it. So how do you think connecting with ourselves could help us grow our businesses?
Oh, it's exactly that. It's like that, the growth. And I know it's like, it takes a while to really get that, but the growth is not outside of you. It's all inside of you. And the money and the flow of money is inside of you. And so as you connect more to yourself, which means as you just like yourself more, as you love yourself more, as you are more kind to yourself, all the things that wanted to come in before, but you just held them away, are suddenly coming in. It's kind of like, when you always had on your street, I don't know, a fruit stand, but you were so absorbed in telling yourself all the things you had to do that you never saw the fruit stand. And suddenly you drop these things you're telling yourself and actually look in your street, and there's right the fruit stand. You never had to go to the supermarket.
I love that. Now, on the flip side of that, does being disconnected from ourselves cause or create fear in us?
I think it's not one or the other. It's just with fear, it's just not easy, because we see it so much modeled to us in the world, from our parents, our loved ones, on TV, in media. It's almost like, I don't know how it was for you when you were little, but when I was little, I thought when you grow up, you had to drink coffee because everybody drank coffee. And when I found out coffee is not good, I was so happy to stop drinking coffee, that I didn't have to drink that bitter stuff anymore, right? And it's the same with fear. And so we think you have to do life with fearful, because that's what your parents so often model you. And that then creates the disconnect. But is it the fear first, or is it the disconnect, or is it the buying in that you have to live disconnected because everybody around us lives it? It's kind of like, it's that why that just makes us feel even worse. I'm more and more nowadays working with my clients, working with all my students into what do we want? Let's just forget what we don't want, and let's sometimes we need to clear something from the past, but more and more I'm moving away from all that stuff, and I'm more and more just working into the future. Like, who do you want to be, and be that today? And whatever doesn't serve, it's just like, I love King Richard, right? That movie. And so have you seen King Richard?
I haven't yet.
Oh my God, everybody. It's such a great lesson. So every time Venus Williams, hits a ball and the ball might not be good, she doesn't think about it. It's gone. It's in the past. Who cares? The next ball is what matters. The next ball is going to be awesome. And that's what I feel like where we are living into now in this consciousness. It doesn't matter anymore. If somebody was disconnected, if you were disconnected, if you were fearful, this moment you can make a new choice on who do you want to be, because and I just was explaining that to my group today, because even that you think, oh, that's not honest. If I'm like, let's say I want to be a, $1 million business owner, right? If I'm already that now and behave like that now, because I'm not my consciousness, but if you are not now it, then in the next moment, you can't become it, because the next moment is right after. So you have to be in the now, behaving like a $1 million business owner, to be in the next moment behaving like it. And when you behave like it, then everything just, because it's in you, it comes towards you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up.
From fear and disconnect, but I'm like, forget about the fear, forget about the disconnect, just think who you want to be.
Well, and I think it's such a good time right now, because we're the entrepreneurs that get to choose. After everything that we've been through over the past 2 years, we get to create a new business for ourselves. Even though the existing business might look completely different than it did a couple years ago, now is the time to start looking towards the future. And how does our business want to look? How do we want it to look? I think that's so great that you mentioned that, because now if someone is in a place where they are fearful and they're like, I know I want to be that person. I know I want to look forward, and I don't want to be tied down by this fear of what I've been through previously. What do you think is the best way for someone to try something new in their business to get over that fear?
Yeah, so, they really have to look at what the fear represents in their lives, because I have seen different setups. So first of all, realize that you are the director of your life. So for some reason, you put fear there, and just to have a step back and see, what was the director, like if you look at your life as a movie, what was the director thinking, like putting that main actress there with fear, right? What was the message? And so sometimes I see fear as overcoming, letting it go. And, some people say, have the fear and do it anyway. More often than not, I see that really fear is about noticing the fear and then choosing differently, choosing another emotion, right? Because it's really hard when you're already fearful to do it anyway, right? So just notice the fear, because get that awareness of what you are actually feeling, right? That kind of wakes you up, that you're like, oh, I'm afraid, but what if I just chose something different, right? I could just be excited instead, or, because I want that, right? So and we have the control really over our feeling, right? You can just choose in that moment, in the beginning, it might be challenging, but just remember something where you were totally excited, and remember that, and just think, oh, what if I just could be excited about this one too, because I want to be excited about my business, and move on from that excited place. And the third one, what I've seen also in some of my clients, they really created as the director of their life, fear as a companion, as kind of like, if they wouldn't have the fear, they wouldn't get their ass off the sofa. Right? So they kind of like created fear, and some people created different things, created fear to keep them going, because if the fear wouldn't like poke them, hey, they would not move. They would not create that business. So it's kind of like, instead of getting rid of that fear, in their case, it's like, oh, fear, thanks for reminding me. And then not going into that emotion. You don't need to feel the fear. You just need to remember, oh, the fear is like, wants me to move. Thank you, guy. So thank you, partner. And let me move on.
Yeah, it's more of a motivational aspect versus like I'm paralyzed with it. It's more motivating, so that way you can get those things done that you need to get done. I love that. I think that's a great way to look at it. When you're faced with a decision and you're at the fork in the road, you can go one of two ways. You can go the way that you've always gone, which is, that paralyzing, not moving, but you can look at it and say, this decision, I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to make fear my partner, and I'm going to use it to help me finish this task versus paralyzing me against this task. I love that. I think it's something that we face all the time, but it's so easy to take that other fork in the road and be like, oh gosh, I don't want to do anything, so I'm just going to sit here. I don't want to do it. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, what's the best way that we can get connected with ourselves to grow our confidence in ourselves and in our business decisions?
So, confidence comes from believing in yourself, right? And so the question is really, how can you believe in yourself? And it obviously helps, first of all, to surround yourself, coaches or in a mastermind or, podcasts, or even if you constantly listen to like a book that gives you that belief, right? That because it's like kind of like a higher vibration. It's kind of like surrounding yourself just, acoustically or visually by people who just do believe in themselves. So you can take like a slice of that. But then also going deeper and seeing, why are you not believing? And what's the benefit of you not believing? I just talked today with my clients, and one of them was like, and then I got a new client, and then I thought, what if that doesn't happen again? And I'm like, why would you have that thought? So you need to evaluate, why would you think that? Because if you know that everything you think happens, why would you think a thought that doesn't benefit you? So it's kind of like, oh, I don't believe in myself. Why would you think that? Right? And so you have to go under it and really, maybe you want to journal, maybe you want to, just think about it, sit in the sun and immerse in that. What is the benefit of you? What is the benefit of you not believing? And what even more would happen if you do believe? Because that's often the scary part. What would your mom say? What would your neighbor say if you're suddenly like, yeah, I'm great? Right? I mean, you have to be a different person suddenly. And so all that other unconscious fear, what would be the worst if you would just show up and say, I'm great. And so you have to look at all these. It comes back to become that, just even in your thought, in that moment, sitting on your terrace in the sun. If I would be now totally believing in myself, how would I have to go out on the street? How would I talk to people? And what comes up then?
Oh, that's a really good idea. Now, one thing that I always ask every podcast guest that I have is, if you could give a small business owner one piece of advice, what would it be?
Would take the small away. Make it as a brand, like I have one client and she really wants to become a homeopath, and she's studying to become a homeopath, and she's constantly comparing herself with the other homeopath. And she's like, I'm not as good as them. And I'm like, because you're not just a homeopath. You are, your brand. So instead of calling yourself a small business owner, if you call yourself small, you're never going to be big, because that's what you said, right? So I would say, step into your brand. What business do you have? And see it blow up.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think that you and I could talk for hours about this topic, because I find it so fascinating. And I think that what you've created for our guests is so cool. So tell everybody about what you've prepared for them, because I think they're really going to enjoy it. Now, we have a couple different things. So we have Joyful You 2.0. We have Journey to the Future. And then there's one other one, right?
Yes, exactly. There's, I made a little video of, what I created with my clients is the wholeness mastery method, which is really that self-love that you can how do I say that, you can create and connect to in yourself. And there are about 9 different steps, but 5 of them I have in this video called just 5 strategies to love yourself, which is on YouTube, and you can give them the link. And then right now I'm offering actually my 5-month program, Joyful You 2.0, which really brings everything together. I mean, if you look at the webpage, it has, wealth consciousness and your younger self and connecting to guides. And it really is such a comprehensive program over 5 months, a self-study course, and then 5 additional coaching sessions with me. And to get a little taste of that Joyful You 2.0, I'm also offering a link to a journey to the future. So you can create that future self. It's, a very low price point. I think it's like $7, just for you to get that first taste of what is actually possible for you to create in your future, and then live from there. Because in our Joyful You 2.0, we really do that. We let stuff from the past, we clear it, but we more and more constantly practice and integrate. Who are you when you're you? Who are you when you believe in yourself? Who are you when you're that big business owner? Doesn't matter if you sell 1 t-shirt a month, but if you decide to be a big business owner, that's what you're going to get.
I love it. Well, and I'll be sure to link all 3 of those links in the show notes so people can get quick reference to that and check it out. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Jillian. All the best. May all the businesses blow up.